Welcome to Affordable Athlete Meal Prep with Dr. J. Today we're cooking curry ramen with chicken. Here is our shopping list if you're trying to cook along with the video. Hey there, Dr. J here. We are here in my kitchen today. A lot of questions that I receive are kind of, what are the things that I eat? How do I cook? What does my diet look like? And a lot of the things that go into the choices I make daily are things that I want to be able to repeat, things that I want to be able to create, or things that I enjoy from a flavor standpoint, or being able to utilize things that are common and combining them, right? And one of the things that I found this week that I'm going to create a recipe off of, and this is kind of a loose combination of things, and I've developed my approach to cooking through years of trial and error, and you can imagine what. So today we're going to be using this spicy curry soup base, which is made out of only a few ingredients. Everything that's on here I can read. It was pretty price effective for me. I found it at Costco. But a lot of things that we want to look for are going to be, is it something that you enjoy so that you can get the most out of it? I joke that I have a flexitarian diet, and flexitarian is dependent on my wallet more than anything. And so I was able to get this box for about 15 bucks. But if I went out and I got curry, or I went out and I got ramen, one serving of ramen at the restaurant would have been 15 bucks. And this package came with 5 of these packs. I'm going to end up diluting some of this, so I'm probably going to use 2 to 3 packages of this, and then I'll probably end up adding 2 to 3 cups of water in it as we get going. And I'll show you kind of what I chopped up to go with this to add some heartiness to this soup. All right, so first things first, I marinated some chicken last night, and I put like a spicy pepper paste on here, and I sprinkled a little bit of curry powder, and then also ground up some fresh pepper just to mix in this. So this has been sitting for about 24 hours, and we're gonna put that in this pan with a little bit of grapeseed oil, which I prefer to cook with because it has a high cook point. We'll get this sauteing, all right? And once we get this going, over here in our soup pot, we'll do the same thing. We'll put a little bit of grapeseed oil in. I'm gonna add this chopped up spinach. As you can see, I reuse containers. I chopped up some spinach earlier today. All right, I chopped up some red onion to go with this. And then I have a poblano pepper that I also chopped up as well. And thanks to my Ninja, because I'm not good at using a julienne and I have cut my fingers many a time on it, the Ninja has been a lifesaver for me, and I cut them up into coins. And so all these things will get sauteed together. And because the spinach is one of the lighter items and the fastest cooking, that'll go in last before we add in our soup and start to dilute some of that as we get going. And also, quick note, before I started making the video, always wash your hands before you start handling food and you start preparing food. It's just one of those things. And let the oil heat up real quick. I'm just checking now that the oil is moving pretty quick across the pan. And pretty soon it'll be warm enough for us to start adding some veggies. We'll let this pan saute real quick to see a pretty good mix going on here. Probably let that simmer about medium low. My gas stove cooks things pretty quick and pretty hot. Let y'all get a closer look at our chicken here. We'll add a little bit of seasoning into this pot here. I'm gonna match some of the seasonings that I saw on the recipe with the soup, just so that the flavors complement each other. So we've got a spicy curry soup. I'm a huge fan of black pepper, so I'm gonna add more black pepper, and I'm gonna add some curry seasoning here. And I'll probably hold off on the salt just because the soup base has a decent amount of sodium in it. So I'll cover this again to let all the veggies heat up real well and cook thoroughly. Our chicken is coming along nicely here. Waiting for all of these pieces in the pan to get some color on them before I start messing with them. Just a little sidebar. One of my favorite cuts is dark meat because it holds flavor really well and it's really easy to season. And so if you're new to marinating your chicken and new to adding seasoning to your food, the thigh meat and the drummies, as far as the boneless, skinless meat, is going to be kind of one of your safer bets and easier to cook, and it's not quite as thick as the breast is if you're cooking chicken. And so it won't take as much time to cook thoroughly, and also it's going to hold much more flavor and much more moisture. So if you join me to take a look at our soup pan right now, our soup pot, the poblano's have gained a lot of color. They're much brighter green. Our carrots are looking a vibrant orange, but they look much softer than when we put them in. And then our onions have a softer purple to them than when we started. And that chicken has some nice color to it. I'm gonna add the spinach in before I start to add in a lot of the liquid here. I may be right or wrong on this step, but the biggest thing is I didn't want it overcooked. It's gonna get really soft, but I'm okay with that. I wanted to get some flavors into the sauteed vegetables before we started to add the soup base. And me personally, when it comes to soup, I like a heartier soup. So the more vegetables, the more chicken or meat that I can add in to create some flavor and add some texture to it, I'm all for it. So we're gonna get a little bit of water to add in with this soup mix. Each of these packets is about 14 ounces. This soup pot that I have is pretty decent size. So I'm gonna go ahead and put 3 packets in. And then after I put these 3 packets in, I'll kind of eyeball it and see how much water I wanna add. Chicken is looking like it is almost done here. I'll give it a little bit more time. It's got some good color to it. And it doesn't feel super soft as I move it around the pan. I'm just gonna lower the heat on it, but I'm still gonna keep it in the pan. If any of y'all are like me, I'm very prone to spilling as I cook, so I'm gonna open this as little as possible. So looking at how our soup base is coming together, I'm probably gonna add about 4 cups of water just to make this stretch just a little bit further. Changed my mind. I'm gonna go probably 1 extra cup of water per each of those packs. I'm gonna swap the chicken out of this sauteing and frying pan. I'm gonna mix the soup base together, and then now the hard part, we're gonna let it simmer, and we'll just wait for those flavors to kind of meld together to make a wonderful base. So we'll let that pan rest there. I'm gonna turn up the temperature here. Get this thing to a rolling boil. We want to see big bubbles at the top of the surface. And then from there, we're going to turn the temperature down, and then I'm going to set the timer for about 30 minutes. Let this all come together. And then as a carb with this, ramen noodles can be expensive, but when you buy the pack of noodles for ramen, I just throw away the seasoning packet since we have enough sodium and enough flavor in the base that we're making. And then when I'm ready to eat any amount of soup that I want, I'll put it in a bowl and I'll heat it up really good, and I'll just lay this brick of noodles on top of it and mix it in with my meal. So one easy way for you to make ramen and kind of make a meal to set up with everything. You can get a box of 16 of these for about $3, which is a lot more than you can get for $3 if you buy just the ramen noodles versus getting the ramen packs. This is the hardest part about cooking, the waiting. I'm not great at the waiting. When I'm on my ish, usually I end up washing the dishes during this time, but I'll wait for it to get boiling before I start a different activity, otherwise I'll get distracted. There we go, you can see it starting to boil up here. We'll give it just a little bit more time to get some bubbles going in the middle. And then once we see a good amount going, we're just gonna cover it and let it simmer for about 30 minutes or so. That usually happens to be the magic number. So we got it doing a pretty good boil. I'm gonna cover this up, and now we wait. And then once it's done simmering, if you're patient enough to wait, we can just scoop it out into a bowl, and then I'll add this brick of noodles and let the noodles cook in the heat that we have coming from the stovetop as we made the soup. Otherwise, if it's not getting your noodles to the consistency that you want, just throw it in the microwave, heat it up just a little bit longer, and it'll be good to go. Turn the heat down so it's on medium-low here. Set my timer, and I'll let you guys know how it tastes when I finish. All right, so our soup has had some time to simmer, and true to my word, I spilt on the stovetop while it was simmering. It boiled over, so make sure you keep an eye on things as you're allowing them to simmer, even if it is on lower heat. but it looks really good. It smells really good, and I'm gonna ladle some of this out into a bowl here, and then we'll let it heat up these noodles real quick here. So I take out the sauce packet. I don't usually use it. I'm gonna let this sit for a little bit and soak up all that heat and that warmth from our base, and then we'll mix it in and we'll get to enjoy pretty soon here. And if you're feeling super fancy, you could even add a boiled egg to this. Here is our masterpiece. All right, not too bad. Smells really good. I know you can't smell it, but we got our chicken here that came out wonderful, our poblano peppers, some of our carrots, and I don't know if you can see some of our onions since they're finely chopped. And then we've got our spinach throughout, but this is gonna be good and I'm gonna enjoy it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, I'm Dr. J, and this is just a little bit of insight in how I make these things come together as far as figuring out how to build a consistent lifestyle to get the results that you want and to have yourself feeling how you want, right? Sleep is an important part, nutrition is an important part, and taking care of our bodies on a daily basis is an important part. Once again, here's our shopping list for today's recipe, and join us again at the end of next month as we go through our next recipe.